There's a decision married couples make in their early 60s that quietly determines whether they walk away from retirement with an extra $180,000 or hand it straight back to the government without ever realizing it happened. It is not about how much they saved. It is not about the market. It is not about their pension. It is about the order in which they turn on their Social Security checks. And the cruel part is this: two couples with the exact same earnings history, the exact same benefit amounts, and the exact same retirement date can end up with lifetime gaps of well over $100,000 simply because one couple filed in the wrong sequence. Most spouses never run the math. The Social Security office will not run it for you. Your financial advisor probably will not run it for you either, because the calculation sits on the edge of their license, and most of them would rather not touch it. So today, I'm going to walk you through the exact claiming mistakes that are draining married couples right now, the specific order that protects the surviving spouse, the hidden rule that almost nobody explains in plain English, and the real dollar differences between claiming at 62, 67, and 70 in 2026. This video is for educational purposes only and is not tax, legal, or financial advice. Talk to a qualified retirement planner before making any decision that affects your benefits. Every week, I break down the retirement rules, the IRS traps, and the money strategies that protect married couples from the things almost nobody explains clearly. If that sounds like something you need, hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications so the next one lands in front of you. Let me start with the 3 most expensive claiming mistakes married couples are making at this very moment, because the first one might already be happening in your household. Mistake number 3, the higher earner files too early. In most marriages, one spouse out-earned the other over a 30 or 35-year career. That higher earner's benefit is not just their monthly check, it is also the foundation of the survivor benefit that will eventually support whichever spouse lives longer. When the higher earner files at 62 instead of waiting, they do not just lock in a smaller check for themselves. They permanently shrink the survivor benefit for their spouse. Let me put a number on it. If the higher earner's full retirement age benefit is $3,400 a month, filing at 62 cuts that to about $2,380. Filing at 70 pushes it to roughly $4,216. That is a spread of over $1,800 a month for the rest of the surviving spouse's life. Over a 15-year widowhood, you are looking at a difference of more than $320,000. Most couples never see that number because they are focused on the first check, not the last one. Mistake number 2, the lower earner waits too long. This is the opposite problem, and it is just as expensive. A lot of couples hear the advice to delay benefits until 70 and apply it to both spouses. But the lower earner's delayed retirement credits do not stack onto the survivor benefit. They evaporate. When the higher earner dies, the surviving spouse steps up to the higher earner's check, whichever is larger. So every month, the lower earner delayed past their own full retirement age was a month of missed income with zero long-term payoff. A spouse whose own benefit is $1,600 and who delays from 67 to 70 gives up roughly $57,600 in checks they could have collected. And in return, they get a bumped-up personal benefit that disappears the moment the other spouse dies. That is a one-way trade, the wrong direction. And then there is the biggest one. Mistake number 1, both spouses filing at 62 out of fear. This is the single most expensive decision married couples make in the entire retirement process. Filing at 62 instead of full retirement age cuts benefits by roughly 30%. Filing at 62 instead of 70 cuts them by about 43%. For a couple with a combined full retirement age benefit of $5,000 a month, claiming at 62 drops the household to roughly $3,500. Multiply that $1,500 monthly gap over a 25-year retirement, and you are looking at $450,000 in lifetime benefits left on the table. And the reason most couples do it is not strategy. It is anxiety. They are afraid the system will collapse. They are afraid they will die before they collect. They are afraid of leaving money unclaimed, so they grab the smallest possible check as fast as possible and lock themselves into it for life. Now you are probably thinking, the obvious answer is just have both spouses wait until 70. Maximum check, maximum protection, done. That sounds clean, but it is not actually optimal for most marriages. The smartest claiming order is not symmetrical. It is built around one specific principle that almost nobody teaches in plain language. The higher earner's benefit is a survivor benefit in disguise. The lower earner's benefit is a personal paycheck with an expiration date. Those two checks have completely different jobs, so they should almost never be claimed the same way. When I break down claiming strategies, I do not just look at break-even age. I look at 5 factors. Each spouse's full retirement age benefit, the age gap between spouses, realistic life expectancy for each, the household's cash flow need between 62 and 70, and the tax impact of provisional income once both checks are on. Those 5 inputs are what actually determine the right sequence. Let me walk you through the 5 strategies that consistently produce the largest lifetime household benefit, counting down from 5. Number 5, the split the difference strategy. The lower earner files at 62 or 63 to bring household income online. The higher earner delays to full retirement age, 67. This is the entry-level optimization. It protects a reasonable survivor benefit without requiring the couple to live on savings alone for 8 full years. For a household with a combined full retirement age benefit of $5,200, this approach produces roughly $115,000 more in lifetime benefits than both spouses filing at 62. Not the biggest win on this list, but the easiest one to execute when cash flow is tight. Number 4, the bridge strategy. The lower earner files at full retirement age. The higher earner delays to 70, using a bridge from 401k or IRA withdrawals to cover the gap years. This is where the math starts getting serious. Every year, the higher earner delays past full retirement age adds 8% to their benefit permanently. Over 3 years of delay, that is a 24% raise guaranteed with no market risk. For a higher earner with a $3,200 full retirement age benefit, delaying to 70 produces an extra $768 a month, and that amount becomes the survivor benefit. Over the joint life expectancy of the couple, this strategy typically adds $160,000 to $190,000 in lifetime benefits, compared to claiming at 62. Number 3, and this is the one most couples have never heard of, the restricted application window for the right birth year. If you were born before January 2nd, 1954, you still qualify for a legacy rule that lets one spouse file a restricted application for spousal benefits only while letting their own benefit grow until 70. This rule was mostly phased out by the Bipartisan Budget Act, but a small slice of couples still qualify in 2026 if one spouse turned 70 recently and never activated the strategy. For those who qualify, this can add $48,000 to $72,000 in benefits that would otherwise disappear. If you're even close to that birth year, this is the one conversation you need to have with a Social Security specialist before your next birthday, because the window closes permanently once you file. Here is what makes this so frustrating. Most people hear Social Security strategy and they tune out because it sounds bureaucratic. But the dollar difference between the right order and the wrong order is often larger than the size of most people's 401k. That is the point. The filing order is one of the biggest financial decisions of your entire life, and the government gives you roughly 60 seconds of guidance when you walk into the office. Let me show you what that actually looks like in real numbers. Take a married couple, both age 62. He has a full retirement age benefit of $3,200. She has a full retirement age benefit of $1,700. He's in good health, no major conditions. Family history of men living into their mid-80s. She is in excellent health, family history of women living into their early 90s. If they both file at 62, his check drops to roughly $2,240. Hers drops to roughly $1,190. Household monthly benefit, $3,430. When he dies, around age 84, her survivor benefit locks in at his reduced $2,240 for the rest of her life. She lives to 92. Total household lifetime benefit, roughly $942,000. Now run the optimized order. She files at 64 to bring in household income. He delays to 70. His check becomes $4,216. She switches to the survivor benefit when he passes, locking in that higher number. Over the same lifespans, total household lifetime benefit lands at roughly $1,122,000. That is a difference of $180,000 on the exact same earnings record. The exact same two people, just a smarter filing sequence. And this is not a rare edge case. This is the typical result when couples actually run the math. Now compare that to the opposite instinct, both spouses waiting until 70. Sounds even better, right? But in most marriages, the lower earner's delayed benefit never pays off, because it gets replaced by the survivor benefit the moment the higher earner dies. The lower earner who delayed from 67 to 70 in this example gave up roughly $61,000 in checks to gain a personal benefit that will likely be overwritten within 15 years. Net effect, a smaller lifetime household total than the optimized order, even though it feels more disciplined. Delaying is not automatically smart. Delaying the right check is smart. Delaying the wrong check is just leaving money with the government. Number 2 on the strategy list, the age gap strategy. When there is a 5-year or larger gap between spouses, the math shifts again. If the younger spouse is also the higher earner, delaying that benefit to 70 is even more valuable because the survivor benefit will likely be paid out for 25 or 30 years, not 15. Every dollar added to that check compounds across a much longer window. For a younger, higher earning spouse, the lifetime value of delaying from 67 to 70 can exceed $220,000 on its own. Most couples never model this because they assume age gap is just a personal detail. Inside Social Security, it is a variable that changes the optimal answer entirely. And number 1, the survivor first strategy. This is the framework that consistently produces the largest household outcome across the widest range of situations. The rule is simple to state and almost never followed. Claim the lower earner's benefit early or at full retirement age to fund the household. Delay the higher earner's benefit as long as possible, ideally to 70, because that check becomes the floor that protects the surviving spouse for the rest of their life. This one decision, executed cleanly, is worth between $120,000 and $200,000 in lifetime benefits for the average married couple. It does not require a complicated product. It does not require a financial advisor. It just requires understanding which check has which job. Most couples get this exactly backwards. They claim the higher earner first because the check is bigger and feels more important, and they delay the lower earner because they think delay always equals more money. That inversion is the single most common and most expensive mistake in the entire system. Here is what changed in 2026 that makes this even more important than it was 2 years ago. The Social Security cost of living adjustment for 2026 came in at 2.7%. Every dollar added to the higher earner's benefit before claiming now gets magnified by future COLAs for the rest of both spouses' lives. A higher earner who delayed to 70 and locked in a $4,200 benefit is now collecting meaningfully more than they would have 2 years ago, and that gap compounds every single year. The new $6,000 senior bonus deduction at the federal level also shifts the calculation. If you are 65 or older with modified adjusted gross income under $75,000, single or $150,000 joint, you qualify for an additional $6,000 deduction, $12,000 for a couple where both spouses qualify. That matters because Social Security becomes taxable once provisional income crosses certain thresholds, and the deduction gives couples more room to pull from IRAs and 401ks during the bridge years without pushing their Social Security into the taxable zone. In plain English, it makes the delay strategy cheaper than it used to be because the bridge withdrawals no longer trigger as much tax drag. And with markets chopping sideways this year, Roth conversions during the bridge years are more valuable than ever. If you are between 62 and 70, living off IRA withdrawals while delaying Social Security, you're temporarily sitting in one of the lowest tax brackets you will ever occupy. Converting traditional IRA money to a Roth in those years at those rates can save a surviving spouse tens of thousands in future taxes once they are forced into single filer brackets. The claiming order and the conversion strategy are not separate decisions. They are the same decision, looked at from two angles. Here is what it all comes down to. There is no single claiming age that works for every marriage. The right answer depends on which spouse earned more, how large the gap between their benefits is, how long each spouse is likely to live, how much cash the household actually needs between 62 and 70, and how those checks interact with the tax code once they are flowing. Filing at 62 wins if both spouses have serious health issues and short life expectancy. Filing at full retirement age wins if the household needs stable income and cannot bridge the gap. Delaying the higher earner to 70 wins in most marriages where at least one spouse is expected to live into their mid-80s or beyond. And the survivor first framework wins almost universally once you run the numbers honestly. The smartest move is not guessing. It is not copying your neighbor. It is not doing whatever your coworker did. It is running the specific math on your specific situation, your benefit amount, your spouse's benefit amount, the age difference between you, your health, your savings, your tax bracket, all of it. Because the difference between the right order and the wrong order is not small. On the average married couple's earnings record, it is $180,000 across retirement. That is a paid-off mortgage. That is a college fund for the grandkids. That is years of not worrying about money. And it is sitting on the table right now, waiting for someone to pick it up or walk past it. Now you know the 3 biggest mistakes, the 5 strategies that reverse them, and the 1 rule that protects the surviving spouse better than anything else. But here's what most couples do not think about next. Once you pick the right claiming order, you still have to coordinate it with Medicare enrollment, required minimum distributions, and the provisional income thresholds that decide how much of your Social Security becomes taxable. Getting the filing right and then tripping over an RMD at 73 can undo a huge portion of what you just saved. If this helped you see the math clearly, hit the like button. It takes 1 second and it pushes this video toward other couples who are about to make the same mistake without realizing it. If you are not subscribed yet, subscribe and turn on the bell so the next breakdown lands in front of you. And if you know a married couple who is anywhere near 62, send them this video. The difference between the right order and the wrong order could be $180,000 across their retirement. Drop a comment and tell me what age you plan to claim, or what age you already claimed at, and whether your spouse filed at the same time. I read every single one, and the most common situations become future videos. I will see you in the next one.